to make you motivated. They'll give you, oh, if you finish this in time, I'll give you the next one will be from One Piece.
Wow,
Or
that's so cool.
from Fairy Tail, like one of mine's like, oh, if you finish in time, you'll do Sasuke's, like Sasuke from Naruto, like the cloak, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing Sasuke's. The deadline, if you do it properly, you will set a margin, because after all, we're doing creative things. We're accounting that we'll have the great idea in the right moment in the next week. Do not fall in the trap of thinking that working for someone else is stable.
Welcome back to the Animator Guild podcast, the podcast for aspiring animators and artists where we talk about the creative process, respond to audience questions, and expand on ideas which can't fit into a short YouTube video. What are some of the challenges of working in the anime industry as a foreigner? What is it like to travel to Japan, learn the language, live there and work through the education system? This week I've interviewed Mar Exposito, an up-and-coming animator from Barcelona who is living and working in Tokyo. She has a YouTube channel where she documents her animation production process as well as interviews with veterans of the anime industry. I like her story and the conversation we had was eye-opening. So after listening to this podcast, make sure you check out her channel and subscribe. Okay, let's start the podcast. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. It's really cool to be talking to you finally.
Thank you, really. I just wish I can help your audience have more information about these topics. There's not much around there about Japan animation. It's like taboo.
Yeah, I really think you can.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people have it as an aspiration to go to Japan and to learn from in Japan or to work in Japan, and you're closer to a lot of that than most of us are, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of them, sort of.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised I didn't get it by my own choice. But yeah, of course, as you know, I haven't worked in the animation industry directly, but I got really, really, really close and have some contacts. So hopefully we'll get to a nice conversation.
Yeah, from my view over here, I think you did a lot of the right moves. Like, for example, I think your interviews are a really good way not only to learn about the industry from people working in there, but also to network with them. Absolutely.
I mean, just this morning I was editing my latest interview. He's to a background artist. He's been my teacher for the 2 years I was in animation school. He's my favorite at backgrounds. I shouldn't say that.
Okay, yeah.
Because I have 2 teachers. But just today I learned that he was drawing in the animation of one of my favorite anime or manga. I was like, how the hell did I work with this person and not even know he's like one of my genius?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you learn a lot doing this.
Yeah, because I think, most people, that's one of the hardest parts is actually finding a contact, someone they know who's already working in there, someone who can vouch for them and say, yeah, this person does good work. So what have you been up to recently?
Well, I've been in a quite complicated year, let's say. Setting some personal stuff. But precisely because of that, I never wanted to stop drawing, stop creating. I've been doing a comic on the side of everything and almost burnt out, to be honest.
Right. Is that Windy Lightning?
So, exactly. So right now we're in a very critical moment. We're having a campaign to see if it will continue or not. But the studio will continue. I will continue creating. However, whether it's animation or animation and Windy Lightning, whether I have financial margin or not, things like that, it will really depend on this campaign. So I'm very excited to know how it will evolve. Whatever it is, I'll work with it. So it's a very critical moment right now.
Is there one that you prefer? Do you prefer comics, manga, or do you prefer animation, or is it that they both have different strengths and weaknesses?
I'm more up to animation. I started this comic because I wasn't able to do animation on my own, or
Right.
so I thought.
Yeah.
But then I really grew to love this story, and I'd like it to be, if not the full thing I'm doing, it has to be part of my day, because it really brings me joy.
That's
So
good.
even if it's like some part of the week, I need to be in touch with my characters. But yeah, I'm more to animation. If I can just make a movie of them, then that would be like the ideal orgasm of my life. Like, oh yes.
Life
Okay,
orgasm.
it sounds very bad, but that's a life dream.
No, that's a good way to
It sounds
describe it. I
better.
think like a big achievement. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the way.
So would you say you're very close to your characters? You feel like you know them personally?
Absolutely. I mean, I almost cried when Windy Lightning is the comic and so on, but at some point I did a short animation of it, Return the Favor.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw Wendell, my main character, running, I was like, oh my god, he's alive, he's here.
He's alive.
And then, yeah, he's alive. And then going to the audio recording sessions with the voice actors, and then he spoke. Just I can't. It's like he's literally breathing. I don't know. It was incredible. Like I have to do it again.
Yeah,
I almost died, but I have to do it again.
I want to say as well. I watched Return the Favor and I really liked it. I thought it was really nice. So great job on that.
Thank you very much. It was a difficult first one.
And it's cool that was like was that a second year project?
It was my thesis, let's say, from the 2-year animation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like in the second year, you're really focused on creating your animation in a group. So.
Yeah. Well, it's at a standard where I think a lot of people wouldn't expect that to be like one that you made during a course. You know, like it would be more like a thing once you've graduated or something. So. I think it's a really good achievement.
Thank you very much. I won't say it was easy, but yeah, it has room for improvement too.
Yeah, but it's worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after I finished, I just wanted to rest and go away. But just let us some days go and you want to do it again. That's when you know it's a passion.
Yeah, I think it is important to have that rest maybe, and to celebrate as well, you know, like to have it seen by the people you want to see it, and do that before you just move on to the next thing, because otherwise there's no closure to all that hard work.
Exactly. I mean, you have to see that you gave the message. Like in my case, every piece I create has to have some message. So saying that it resonated for some people, or they understood what I wanted to say, like I communicated, that's my closure, I guess.
I really like that video where you kind of say, you kind of list out 5 things that they're almost like rules for making animations.
Yeah, it's my 5 values.
Yeah, I've written them down here for just because wanted to take some notes, wanted to come prepared. So like the first one is life-changing values.
Correct. Okay, life-changing messages in this case would be that we all learn from stories. That's not new. That's how our parents teach us. That's how we learn from realities. Like an experience happens and we want to move forward. Then stories catch a lot of attention, and I just feel it's a pity or a shame that a story either doesn't show anything, has no purpose, or at the contrary shows something that will be harmful for the audience.
Yeah.
So obviously I will not have the answers for everything, or for everyone for that matter. Everyone has their opinions, but if I have to create something, it better has a purpose. And in this case, it would be a message that I believe it could be impactful and help someone.
That's an interesting thing, because I think that, of course, we can see all over the place in our media where the wrong messages are getting out about things like pro-military, pro-war, for one example. But at the same time, I think even a film with good moral values and moral messages still needs to, it can't shy away from those topics. Like, you might have to feature that in there, but not indicate that thing is a good thing.
Exactly. Of course, everything will be personal. Like what you think is good, I could think is bad, or we'll get to something that I think I'm communicating something right. For example, I'm communicating that, let's say a classic example, you see the bad guy is smoking, and you're trying to say, no, smoking is bad, but then if the bad guy is really, really cool,
yeah,
and has like very smart ideas, then is it bad or is it cool to smoke? Is it just like being a rebel? So you have to be very, very careful in that, but at the same time not overthinking. Like, try to make it as clear as you can, at least the main thing, like the main story, whether it is, I don't know, advertisement and it's buy my product because it will help you, or make me money, or I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe have a scene where the bad guy has to run up a flight of stairs. And he gets to the top and he's just there for ages trying to catch his breath back because he smokes.
Exactly. That's how you get like, oh, wait, that wasn't that good, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or it's like, gets like coughing. Like it coughs and then, like you see the mouth is like very black or something that you would not appreciate. Like the design is very important here.
Yeah. Well, I like that. Yeah, I think a lot of people, that isn't something they've yet come to as a conclusion. They're more just like, okay, how do I make this thing look cool? How do I do this cool fight scene where this character beats up this other character? But they don't take a step further than that, which is like, what's the effect of this going to be on the people who watch it?
Exactly. Like, is it cool fighting?
Yeah.
Like, is it good to, like, smash someone's, like, think of, I don't know, let's say a show that recently ended with many opinions about it, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It has various violent scenes where sometimes you can see that, okay, that hurts just seeing it, honestly.
Yeah.
But then if your character you love does something, even if it's, like, you would know that, oh my, like, generally, naturally, neutrally, this is really gross or hurtful or whatever, if your own, like the character you love does that.
Yeah.
That's not the same message, that's not the same story. So it's very difficult. Again, you don't have to overthinking as long as at least the main thing stays consistent, but yeah, you have to think about that. It's not just like, okay, how do I make this scene more cool? It's like, what are you communicating here?
Yeah. Also, an interesting character is one that isn't just 100% good or 100% bad, but they've got a mix of both.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
They have, like, often they have a dark side. They have demons which they're trying to face internally. And
that's how you relate to them as well.
Yeah.
Because they have some quote unquote imperfection. it's a lot of, you cannot go too deep on there or you will not create anything.
Yeah, true. You can't just think, oh, I need to make the perfect story and then and then you never
it happens
make
to me
anything.
In some cases. So yeah, it's just like it has to be thought at least.
Yeah, the thought that counts. Yeah. So just more on those 5. So like the second one is that you respect people's time. And I think that's really a great thing, because we know that, I think anyone who watches anime knows that there's a bit of an epidemic of filler episodes.
Oh dear, yes. And think about all these poor animators creating a story that people doesn't even want to see. Why would you do that? I'm so sorry. I have all my compassion for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, they have a job, but why?
Yeah, they must be working on it and thinking, I don't know why we're doing this. Like, this isn't a good episode.
Yeah. Or it also gives actually freedom for the newbies.
Oh, really?
Because it's more relaxed. Yeah. Like, I noticed some occasions where the filler content doesn't have the same level of efficacy, because, for example, they will give the best scenes to the most veteran artist. For example, a fight that was epic in the manga and everyone's waiting for it, they will try to give it to the most veteran.
Yeah.
So on the contrary, the newbies will get like some other things that are not as expected. Like they don't have so much high expectations. So
Okay.
but still, no, I'm not a fan of filler content.
Yeah.
It may have some purpose, but yeah, no.
Well, I think that kind of when you make animations without filler content, that kind of helps both people. It helps the audience, but it also helps the animators, because it means you can just cut everything down to size where you're only doing the best work and you're leaving out everything else.
You get the quality, absolutely, and you have more people engaged, which leads to hopefully more monetary results as well, which is something that producers care about is money.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I'm a reader and consumer myself that I really care about this. It hurts me when you're like watching and then it's like, oh no, is it that recap summary animation chapter, and I come rushing from home from school to see this. Ouch! Ouch! Ouch!
Yeah.
Why? But yeah. Or things start not making sense, inconsistencies. That can happen at any story, to be honest. But it's more usually in filler content. The longer you make it, the more likely you'll have quote-unquote mistakes in the plot and so on.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I get, I hear it all the time, the criticism with shows, but it seems particularly to be a thing that Japanese studios seem to do, and I'm wondering if that's part of their economic model to sell more advertisements.
Oh, the filler content?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it's more about the animation catching up with the manga.
Oh, really? Okay.
I found it in various cases. Actually, in the past, there was more filler content because they did like series as long as the manga, but actually seasons are becoming shorter. Before we had like seasons of animation that were like 26, 23 chapters each season, so 23 chapters of that anime in a year. But lately it's reducing to like 12, sometimes even 10 chapters. So it's more like they're reducing, like in this case, they're reducing the content from the manga and then coming to an end if it didn't bring enough money, even in a more rush way, because the manga hasn't ended, it's long and it's doing well. But they have to stop the anime, so it just deviates and creates this alternative ending. So it's a whole new situation. But yeah, filler content it's always about money and reality, let's say. Or in few cases it really expands very well. And it helps relax the audience because nothing important can happen, right?
I suppose,
Sorry, but no. So like you can develop more the characters. That's what I enjoy actually from my mangas. When I do filler content, it's in the form of extras between the chapters. When I have the opportunity to relax, to show different messages, try a new style.
Right.
But then I'm trying to give something extra as entertainment, but not as. This is not the main story. You're not here for this. This isn't literally an extra. I'm calling this an extra.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So yeah, it really depends on how you do it, I guess, on how the expectations are set. I don't know. I think I deviated from the question.
No, that was a very good answer. Yeah, I mean, I learned something there for sure. I didn't know that it was for catching up with the manga. Yeah. So
I don't think it's always the case, but at least the few times I noticed, it was.
Right, yeah. Well, and then we've got not supporting racism, war, drugs, gambling, kind of thing for point number 3 you made, which I think we've already covered. But yeah, I think that's a good one. And number 4, deadlines. I think this is really interesting because most people, when they think of deadlines, they kind of they don't take them seriously, and they feel like it's something that other people force on them to do deadlines, and if they had it their way they would never meet their deadlines.
Yes, but think about it. Animation, comics, they're stories, they're communication, right? And to communicate you need people's trust. How can you trust someone if they don't do what they say they're going to do?
Absolutely.
I mean at least trying to, or with some mistakes, like we're still human, but That's how I settle relationship with any viewer and readers. Like, I'm really trying my best.
And you set your own deadlines.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thing. Yeah, like from my world, it's commercial animation. Like, just clients come to me and commission me to make their animations for them, and for that I have the same kind of thing where if I say I'm going to do it, I have to do it, and I'll like drag myself over the finish line if I have to, but I will.
Of course, it's your border, it's your own branding. It's whether you'll have more or less clients in the future, and so on. I believe you will have like situations where it's like, I wish I told them I would take longer or more time or something like that, but
I suppose that's why it's important to calculate it properly in the agreement or whenever you decide to set that deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the deadline thing sounds like scary and negative, but the deadline, if you do it properly, you will set a margin, because after all, we're doing creative things. We're accounting that we'll have the great idea in the right moment in the next week, for example. So you have to give yourself certain margin. So for example, sometimes I have the comic, I know literally I'll have it finished by, let's say, by Halloween. I'm sure I'll have it, but when I tell my readers, I'll tell them, you'll have it in winter. If I finish it early as I plan and everything goes well, it's fine, but then if something emergency happens in my family, if things don't go as expected, if I don't know, some backup doesn't work, anything, I still have the margin, and yet I could still say like, hey guys, actually this happened, and as soon as I know, I'll tell them, actually the comic will be delayed because whatever. So it's just setting the expectations over and over and communicating. It's not just the deadline itself. It means that you'll have comics every week.
Yeah.
But actually saying, I'll keep in touch with you so you know what you can expect from me. That's the actual meaning.
And how important do you think it is to split up big pieces of content into smaller pieces so that people can keep coming back maybe once every week or so?
Videos, comics in general?
Yeah, like anything you're putting out there on the internet. Is that seems to be something you do? It's like with your interviews, you've also split them into smaller pieces.
I think of how like sometimes I ask them directly. So in this case, the interview, I ask in my Patreon, okay, do you want a big interview once, or do you want like smaller videos where there are topics? And they asked, withheld. Like, actually I had one vote, but I make it count. They said they want a smaller pieces of content.
Okay, yeah.
So in this specific case, it's because of that. But in general, I try to have content going out in consistent basis, in the sense of also branding and keeping in touch. Think of having friends or having a spouse or a significant other. Let's say, in my case, a husband. I cannot just tell him I love you 25 times in a day and then just the rest of the month is like, I don't have to talk to you, I already told you this month. You know, it doesn't work like that. It's a relationship after all.
Yeah, okay, I like that, yeah. So, yeah, your fifth one is being environmentally friendly. And you have a workflow, I believe, that's part traditional and part digital. And I'm
more digital right now, but sorry.
Yeah, no, so, well, tell me if that's wrong. Like, maybe you can specify what part of your process is traditional and what part is digital. For the
environmentally, I still have trouble saying this word into my values, but anyway, for the nature, I try to stay conscious in my daily life in general. Like, I will try to use less plastics, which is not easy in Japan, by the way. You can talk a long time about that. I try to use more walk other than the escalators, the mechanical stuff. So it's in general, that's how I try to live, and that extends to my company because I really, really, really care about animals and the planet and so on. It will sound terrible, but I want to protect the puppies more than I would want to protect babies. I would, if I'm in a like super dangerous situation between the two, most likely I have to protect the baby because society, and I would do it. I would do it.
Okay.
But mentally, if I have to wake up very early in the morning and do my best effort, I think of puppies.
Is that because they're cuter?
Like the poor. No. I mean, it could be also sails that are struggling in the ocean because they were strangled because of some plastic of like Coca-Cola cans,
right?
Whatever can, like let's not say brands. But yet it's something that really thrives me, and in this case, I want to push it into the company because the company will set a culture. I still don't know exactly which are the steps that are best, if traditional is actually better than digital or not, for example.
Yeah.
If using recycled paper actually consumes more energy in the planet than having a new paper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, we have to research all these things. I have to learn a lot. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
But it's so important for me, like, honestly, that I had to put it in my values. And in the future, I really want to make sure that I'm giving back to the environment. I don't know if it will be planting trees. I don't know if it will be cleaning the ocean. I don't know if it will be just like how I set the company as an example for others to be sustainable. I have no idea, but I have to go that direction, and putting it on my values makes it even more pressuring.
Yeah.
In this sense, and also makes me connect with other people that would have the same concerns.
Yeah. Like you've announced it now,
one.
So it's kind of like it kind of goes back to the other one where now you've announced it, you feel accountable for it, like you have to now do it.
Exactly. In this case, because I'm so sure it's such a big part of me, I will have trouble following it. If I don't follow it, it will be because I don't know how to be honest.
Right.
But not because I don't have, like the courage or the means or things like that.
Yeah. I think the difficulty might be like if you were to join a studio or something and they use paper, how much power do you have over that company to change their, how much paper they use?
Oh my God. When you are like, one of the questions you sent me in advance was about whether in Japan they're still using paper, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about the paper, it's about the cars going up and down, picking up all these envelopes.
Oh, really?
And shipping it, which is other cars.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, it's a pain to see.
So maybe you can talk about that. So that's one of the limitations that they have with working on paper, is that they have to hand deliver their keyframes to different locations.
Exactly. Like the producer assistant position, you need to have a car. That's one of the requirements.
That's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, imagine being at a class with people that's mostly younger than you. Actually, yeah, everyone was younger than myself in the animation class, discussing about a few companies that are turning digital, and everyone against it.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm like, it was like, what?
And why do you think that is? Is it because they're not used to the software?
Changing is difficult. Changing is costly.
Right.
The results are not exactly the same. Let's say you have in traditional, there's a special touch that you have to work very hard to get in digital sources.
Yes. Yeah.
Digital is beautiful, but you really have to work hard to get this special feeling or texture.
That was one of the reasons why I changed to TV Paint, was exactly for that reason of making it look a little bit more traditional.
And yet you can feel it. So I found, I'm telling you the reasons I heard at the moment and what I remember, but mostly was that it's like the cost of the change, that actually it may not be as cheap as it sounds. People not used to it. Where do you get trained animators that do that? Etc. So they are shifting, but still a lot of traditional here. A lot.
I suppose on the flip side of that, a lot of people see Japan in particular as a one of the last safe havens of traditional 2D animation, which is seen as like a good thing, you know, because
Correct.
it's moving to digital. A lot of it is replaced by CG in the West. So there it's kind of like animators in particular, traditional animators, are kind of hoping that Japan doesn't move to digital strategies.
Yeah, that's where they don't. I mean, they're trying to change where they see the benefit. For example, if you see animes about robots and spaceships, it's more likely they will try to add some CG to it. Excuse me, but in general, there's still an animosity because of that. They're afraid of change and so on, and they really appreciate, like, they care about how things look. They're really great about the creative part as well, the animators themselves. And if you want good animators, you'll find a lot of them in Japan.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The industry is built around the 2D. At least aesthetically. Even if they do it in 3D style, they'll try to make it look 2D, right?
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah. Okay, well that was a great answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So should we move on to some questions that I've actually prepared for you? I'm sorry I took you by surprise.
I'm really enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, I want to try and keep it natural, even if I'm just like prompting with questions. I don't know.
Go for it.
All right, so
interrogate me.
Yeah, what's your background in drawing? Like, what is the earliest or most significant drawing you can remember making?
Okay, so we'll go very, very back in the past. Very, very back. I'm not that old, but imagine a kid that gets picked up from school by their grandma, puts them in the house in the very little town, and the kid just watches cartoons while drawing cartoons.
Where was that town?
Santiscla, it's somewhere in Spain.
Okay, cool.
Somewhere like quite rural in the mountains.
Yeah.
So there's not many friends I would hang out with friends on the weekends or so on or something, but as a child it was me getting out from school, my mom and my dad still working, so my grandma would take care of me, of putting me in front of the TV and me loving it. Just like, imagine me 1 meter of the big TV with a little table and pencils and everything around. And as far as then I had some formation, I'll let you know, but tying it up to my first drawings and so on, there's a little cute story with a drawing I do not remember, but I've been told that drawing is still in the fridge of my grandpa's house.
All right.
And it's a horse, and apparently they like it because when I was drawing it, apparently I was crying, telling my mom not to take me out yet. So it's like, I need to finish this horse, I don't want to go home. And the horse, it's beautiful, and to be honest, it's beautiful. And let's go back to my love for animals, I need to finish this horse. So yeah, that's a cute little one, I guess. I don't remember it. I see the drawing, I believe in them, it sounds like me.
So it's been something that has, like, you've been drawing for a long time, like since before you can really remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's what you make a child do, right? Like, just give them some crayons and make them paint. I just never stopped. So what's interesting though is that I had this mindset, maybe from what I heard. My family has been always encouraging me, but in general, I had this feeling of, if you are an artist, you will not have food.
Yeah.
Like, you will not have money. Like, as a child, I don't even know what money is. I just know that they wouldn't have enough to eat.
Yeah.
So I tried to skip from there. I tried to think about other careers, like maybe be a translator, working advertisement, things like that. So I shifted, but I never stopped drawing. I thought, this is my hobby, this is what I do right, good. So I kept doing it. But then I went back to it. In the end, I studied 1 year in high school. We had some classes related to art. While studying audiovisual communication in university. Basically, it was film and television.
Okay, yeah.
I would keep drawing. I had a few little informal freelance illustration things. Like, you know, like you go to an English academy and they need a poster and you draw it for them, like that level.
Yeah.
That's how you get it done. Or you go to a manga anime convention and start drawing to people to like €1, which is not much, you should charge more. €1 for person, like for the portrait of the face and so on. And go for it. Then after university, I spent 1 year, let's say gap year, where I studied English, Japanese, and I went to like, let's say an academy where I had some hours a week where I studied character design and concept art. So I was really getting ready. In that point, I was already being myself. Okay, I want to be an animator, work in Japan. I want to be, especially I wanted to do character design. That was my interesting point. What I told myself.
And what age do you think you were, if you mind me asking about your age? Like,
yeah.
What age do you think you were when you made that decision that you wanted to work in Japan and to go into that line of work?
Let's say that I didn't know what Japan was when I decided.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So I saw the cartoons in television, right? And for me, someone told me this is Asia, this is China. I had no idea.
Right.
I just knew I wanted to do that, but I would not admit it for myself. I would say, no, if you draw, you will have no food.
Right.
Sort of thing. So it was always that. It's just at some point slowly, it's like, okay, maybe instead of translation, you can do advertisement. Maybe if you do advertisement, how about you do television advertisement, so it's videos at least, you get closer to what you like, and from videos you go, advertisement, you go to film, it's like, come on, I'm doing film, let's just at least do animation. So I just flew back to it gradually.
Right, yeah.
Admitting by myself what I really wanted, until it's like, okay, let's just go to Japan. Let's just do it. I have all the support, really. It was just a mindset of fear. Right.
So what did your family think of that? Did they, I'm guessing they helped you with it.
Yes, most of the, emotionally, yes. My mom was always, let's say, one step behind, like saying, okay, she'll work for Japan, but she'll still be home.
Right.
Or maybe she'll go to Japan sometimes, and at some point it's like, okay, she's going, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it had to be gradual. But yeah, they were always positive of me in this case. They never stopped me. They believed on me in my drawings and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, well, she's gonna try it, so we better support her, I guess.
Yeah. So so for anyone who to help anyone who does want to make that step, or at least try it, what's the first thing they've got to do? Like, is there a website they can go on to book, or should they start by learning Japanese? Like, what should they do for the very first thing?
All right, let's go to the hassle part.
Okay.
Let's get serious here. When you're in Japan and you want, let's say, work in the animation industry, something I didn't do. I did just right before that, as you know. But if you want to work in the animation industry in Japan, you'll have lots of competition of Japanese people, right? Which means that you need to get at least at their same level. So yes, number one, start learning Japanese to understand them, how they work, how they think. Like when you study a new language, you'll start thinking how they think. You'll start understand them. So that would be one thing. You can start it whenever you want. I suggest learning Japanese in Japan, of course, and for that I can give you a website that will help them find a Japanese school in Japan. But they should start as soon as they can. But there's also another thing that will catapult you, and it's drawing. Don't wait until you're in Japan to start doing art or things that interest you. It could be production that you're interested in. It could be background. But do that already, because here again, when a company here where immigration needs to give you a visa, or the company needs to sponsor you for a visa, again, you are in disadvantage.
Right. Yeah.
So the better you start, the best. The more chances you have It would still be possible, most likely, but you'll have more chances if when you enter to that animation school or when you throw away your CV, you're already good.
Right.
So you're competing.
And that's something anyone can do wherever they are.
Yeah.
They can start drawing, they can start learning to draw.
Yeah, it's something I did for myself and it really benefited me out. I would have not been able to get to the point where I was like, let's say, I got the degree, like the award of being the best of the class.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Like from these 20 people, I got like the top degree, but from the start I already was in a top level of drawing. Not top, but different levels, everyone, but you could see that the people that would have had drawn before, they had a chance to animation companies. The other ones, they struggled more.
Right, yeah.
And for the few that got in, I know from a few that are not there anymore. And we're talking about 1 year. So it's tough. It's tough. The better you start, the smoother it is. And it's what we said about saying I love you. Like, you cannot do it just in one day.
Yeah. So with the drawing as well, the style of drawing, do you learn, like, you have to learn to draw the human figure? Do you have to already know how to draw in an anime style? Is that an essential thing for learning, or do they teach you that in school? How does that work?
That's a very, very interesting question that I would have also not known before, and it really surprised me to discover this. But so in my case, in the animation school, let's give some background. I was there for 2 years. It's a vocational school. People that just graduates from high school goes there generally. For people from Japan,
right,
it's their next step instead of university, and for foreigners, they just normally come just right after some Japanese school.
Yeah,
like Japanese language school. So they put you there, and then you have all these practical classes. I never had to write, really. It was just drawing.
Okay, yeah.
Or editing or everything. We would have like a few classes about, let's say, fundamentals, like perspective, an actual drawing, like having a model and trying to go there with like the soft pencils and shadows and everything.
Yeah.
And then we would have all these classes of animation where they would give you the keyframes and you have to figure out by yourself the things inside, the in-betweens. Which means that by doing that, you will be drawing an animation style.
Right.
They didn't have to teach it to you, you just have to guess it. But for example, let's say one of the first assignments was to make a character jump.
Yeah.
Or walk. So if you don't understand how, of course the teacher will tell you, okay, like for walk, what's the first thing? Okay, first you incline your body to the front. So you create a disbalance, and then when you put the foot in the front, you don't fall and then continue walking, blah, blah, blah. So they will explain you some things. But if you don't know how to draw, like you don't know like the position of a knee, you don't know that. Or like this is the ankle, this is the head. The head should be like in a line with blah, blah, blah. These things, if you don't know them, you don't understand them, then you will struggle. So it was nice to have like these contrasts when they will teach you like, okay, these are the fundamentals, we'll have a model and so on. Yeah. So you had the opportunity to learn from fundamentals of drawing, human body and all these things. And then on the other side, you just go animate. Just do in-betweens. They start with the easiest in-betweens ever, and then it gets more complicated. You have to figure more out. Okay, someone is waving a hand. And you start thinking about timing. You start thinking about, okay, like the elbow. Yeah. There's the bone shape, like, or like the folds of the cloth. Yeah. So it was really, really, really practical. They never teach you like this is manga style or this is anime style. You just need to understand and be able to do the task, which will be when you enter to an animation studio, you have to do in-betweens. That's where you start. Yeah. So the better you do in-betweens, good. Then that's what they will give you, do in-betweens.
That's really interesting.
You figure out if you figure out fast enough how the body works, that's good for you. You'll be able to continue.
Yeah, because I honestly wasn't sure if in Japan they teach you how to do it in a stylized way or what. But that exercise of the teacher giving you the keyframes already to in between, that's something that I went to university here in England, and that particular exercise we never were given keyframes. We always made our own keyframes, but we had. Yeah, other than that, we had very similar kind of structure to our learning, I suppose.
I see. I mean, I have no idea. I never studied animation in another
Right,
country.
yeah.
But it really surprised me when we did that. It's like, oh my god, like they're not teaching me anime style. They just give me keyframes from, like, the teachers they work for the animation industry right now. So they will just give you any old keyframes they have, they made some time, and make you practice with them. So you will learn from different anime styles directly, anime styles that were in market a few years ago or are in market now. Some nights to make you motivated, they'll give you, oh, if you finish this in time, I'll give you the next one will be from One Piece.
Wow,
Or
that's so
from
cool.
Fairy Tail, like, yeah, like one of mine's like, oh, if you finish in time, you'll do Sasuke's, like Sasuke from Naruto, like the cloak, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm
Wow.
doing Sasuke. So
That must have been
oh
so
my God.
exciting.
I'm not even a super fan of that. I wasn't at the moment, let's say. But then it's like, oh my god, like I'm doing the actual frames that then it's like, oh yeah, this frame is in this chapter. It's like, oh my god.
Wow.
So you're like, they train you for the job. Like animation is just another regular job in Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, just what was that institution, that school that, so just so that if anyone thinks I want to do that exact thing, where could they go for that?
This one is Tokyo Design Academy. I can give you the link later so you can
Yeah,
click on
yeah,
Google
okay. I
or
can put the
something.
link in the description. Yeah.
It's Tokyo Design Seimongakko. But yeah, it has like both English and I will not say it's very foreigner friendly.
Right.
Like you really have to go with Japanese only. The teachers will not know a word in English.
Right, right. So did you
well, some words, but
that raises an interesting question because you are Spanish, is it? Catalan?
yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah. And
From
you
Barcelona.
also speak English, which is pretty amazing. So you must be trilingual.
4 if you count Japanese.
4. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
Catalan,
amazing.
Spanish, English, Japanese. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. I'm bad at all of them, to be honest. Like my Spanish and Catalan lowered their level since I speak more often English and Japanese. So now it's very difficult for me to talk right now to you in just one language.
Right.
It
Wow.
requires that I'm trying to put inside Japanese and Spanish words. It's not easy.
That's so
It's
great.
not
Yeah,
easy.
because you got like 4 languages in your head or somehow fitting in there.
Yeah, and then drawing, which is like another language.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know how to communicate anymore.
I imagine drawing would at least occupy maybe a different area of the brain. Maybe.
Yeah, but that's when you're talking to someone. Don't they do normally gestures with their hands? That's
I
like
suppose
the
they
visual
do,
part,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So it's not that far. That area is not that far.
So as a foreigner in Japan, do you feel like at any point you were victim of prejudice?
Interestingly, there's a lot of racism in Japan, but they don't notice it's racism.
Right.
So, for example, in my case, maybe you've seen me in videos, most likely, I'm white. And they would consider me European or American. They'll just think I'm American or maybe French.
Okay. Yeah.
And they adore American and French in most cases.
Ah, okay.
So for them, it's like, oh my god, your nose is so big.
What?
Like, this is a compliment.
Really?
And it's still difficult for me, but oh my god, your head is so small. It's like, So they're really admiring me, but at the same point, I'm not part of them. They're considering me an exotic, interesting
Right. Okay.
person. So there's some cases when it really hurt me or it was negative for me, being considered like someone different and so on. But then in most of the cases when I felt myself being treated differently, it wasn't for harm.
Yeah.
It was they did not realize and things like that. So it's just you have to live with it. Look, you're different. You always will be different. They will. I've been so blessed and happy. Like my husband is Japanese, for example. At class, it was interesting because he went with me someday that we were like showing like the graduation projects, and he saw me interact with my classmates, the Japanese ladies. So I was in the the girls group, like the Japanese girls group. And he was so happy that he saw like they're treating you really like another one. They're not treating you at all as you're different or anything. They're using like the informal Japanese, and every time I had a problem, they would help me because they acknowledge I'm different. They know that if I'm making a mistake, because they know me, they're my friends, they know I'm not doing it in bad feelings. Of course, it took a while before they become friends and all these things. But in general, once you know each other, yes, you'll have these moments of disconnect, of hurt, of feeling like I'm never part of them, I'm always treated differently, and so on. But then, people is people. If they want to help you, if they want to acknowledge you, they will.
Oh, wow. Great insight, thank you.
Now I wanted to say a word in Japanese that doesn't exist in English. Like, I don't know if you know, like, otsukare-sama would be like, good job. Like, it's a word to show that I appreciate that you're working hard.
Okay, right.
So
I didn't know that. I speak like hardly any Japanese. I only know.
Okay.
I only pick things up from like, honestly, from anime.
Yeah, that's how we start. That's how most of us start.
No, other than that, I just speak a little bit of Spanish and English.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, English people are notorious for just not really being good at other languages.
You don't have to spend hours of your life learning another language. You can just draw.
That's true. Yeah, it speaks any
language. Please acknowledge you're lucky. You're really, really lucky.
And thought of that. Yeah. Well, in fact, that is kind of why I make was one of the reasons why my films are silent. Like, I don't have dialogue in the films.
Yeah, I found that. I liked it.
It's a real problem when you submit to a film festival that you have to subtitle them if it's an international film festival. But I don't need to, because I'll just say there's no dialogue in it. Like, anyone can understand it. You could watch it on an aeroplane with no sound plugged in, and you would understand the story. So that I kind of miss out the whole problem of language altogether in them.
I think that's really, really smart and really great. Actually, I'm thinking of a similar trick myself of doing musical videos.
A point you made on, I think it was one of your first videos where you've said in that video, I think, that for a long time you wanted to work in the anime industry as an animator, and then you kind of changed your mind. Now I might be wrong there. I might not have it exactly as you put it, but you sort of thought, no, I'm not doing that. And I think the reason seems to be that you just can't, with an entry level job, it's not sustainable. You can't even pay rent with that amount. So could you just explain maybe how you came to that conclusion, and can you speak more on that?
Absolutely. It's a bit sad, but at the same point it's good, because it meant this was not for me. When I went to Japan, my idea was that I would work in animation studio for 10 years, get experience, and then, I don't know, like do character design for whatever, or do my own thing, something like that. So that's how I came to Japan. I studied the language. I studied in a Japanese language school almost for 2 years, and then went to the vocational school 2 years, and then I came to this conclusion, right? So during all this time, something else happened inside me. I started acknowledging more of what I want. I started seeing I'm an entrepreneur. Right. I acknowledged to myself that what I want to do, I fall in love with my comic characters, and I saw how I have a goal that could be achieved differently. So that's from one side. So when I actually started in the vocational school, I already knew I want to be an animation director. It wasn't just about being an animator anymore. Just like, I want this high goal. I want When the Lightning, my saga, to be a movie. I want to do this, and to make this happen, what do I need? So that's a very important part. We'll get there. And then there's the reality of the animation industry in Japan that I was getting access to.
Right.
Basically, there are, I don't know, like 200, 400, I may not get the number right, but a lot of animation companies in Japan. And not all of them create an anime from scratch or from a manga. There are many companies that are just animators or just background artists or just a few of each and so on. So it's like very segmented and so on. So you can imagine that there's like these few big animation companies that hold actually the IPs or buy the IP from the manga company or whatever, like that they create like the thing from scratch.
Yeah.
Then they of course like ask other companies to like, okay, you do my editing, you get your animator, you have a freelancer and so on. There's like these few big ones. The small ones I don't think I can work for them and still get a salary enough to have a life in Japan that would be, let's say if I work for them, maybe I can live like a student for many years.
Right.
Because it is about speed. If you're animating, it is about speed. Like if you have, each drawing has a price.
Yeah.
If you take 1 hour instead of 2 hours, you get more money. If you give you make it in 1 hour and you send it, and they give it back to you because you have mistakes, you just lost 1 hour.
Right.
So it's really about the money, and you have to show to immigration that you will be able to sustain yourself. It's very easy if you're a Japanese who lives in their parents' house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't need a visa, right? So my options would be more narrowed. I had to go for companies that would hire me as a full-timer, companies that would have a higher rate, let's say, or just endure for a long time this getting speed. And getting good time, getting very, very good, because then from television you could go to, for example, movies, animated movies. The price per drawing in that case is higher. That's also more difficult.
Right.
So that all would have meant that I would, knowing myself, and this is really, really a personal decision. There's other people who has achieved that, and they're foreigners, and they're even from Europe and so on. So this is really how it worked for me, where I felt that, okay, if my goal is to make this story happen, if my goal is to be this type of person, I don't want to be in a position where I'm so tired all the time.
Yeah.
When I'm working for a company that doesn't have my values, or that, I don't know, maybe I'm drawing for a company and then I'm a full-timer there, and the next thing is about a pachinko, like this sort of let's call it like not bingo, well, like gaming, addictive game industry.
Right. Yeah.
So I would be overworking, most likely an unhealthy amount of hours to become good enough to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And then how would I change mentally? Because how you treat your body physically changes how you think as well.
Absolutely,
how would the people around me think? Like there's wonderful people in the animation industry, but there's also a lot of negative talk.
Yeah.
There are situations where, actually we were doing this animation and so on, and they didn't call me anymore, and then what I discovered is that the director perished.
Oh, really?
Because of overwork, because of, like, this is a story a teacher told me. Like, yeah, I was working off that, and then I didn't get paid. Yes, that's the extreme one, but they happen more often than they say it.
I mean, those are the cases, those extreme ones. They actually reach me sometimes. Like, I sometimes read about them online where, someone actually dies from overworking, and that's pretty scary.
It is, and it's very sad. So that's also another motivation for myself to set an example. Yeah, like I want to make it within my values, carrying like these 5 values. Those are the ones you see as as audience, but I have another 5 values that are internal.
All right.
And from those values one is health, like taking care of our health, mental and physical. I don't want anyone to feel pressure to such degree. It will be absolutely challenging. because you have to compete with a very black market. But yeah, getting back to your question, I saw that going to the animation industry was possible for me. I had the knowledge, I had the contacts,
Yeah.
but it would take a big risk for me to go there, learn a lot most likely from live, from animation and so on, and then get to my dream, whereas I could go for another job with no overtime or barely overtime and then dedicate the rest of the time for my own thing, and that's what I picked. I don't regret it, but it could have been the other way. I mean, as long as I know my end goal, I could have been another shortcut.
Well, yeah, that's kind of just going back to the health thing. Like, that's advice I gave to someone else recently, where they said my health is taking a toll because of how much animation I'm doing. And I said, well, if you extend that by 5 years down the line, you're going to be in such bad health that you can't make any animation. And who's that going to help? That's not going to help anyone. So I do agree with you that, you know, that health comes first, really, with those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose whatever you want. You could choose that I would risk it. I would do as many animation as I can, and somehow I may survive, I may not.
Yeah.
Or just be blind to it. In my case, I just took the decision to go to the safe road. Longer, most likely, but safe. In my case, and knowing myself. Actually, a story I don't think I shared much is that when I was doing Return the Favor, I was a vegetarian.
Okay.
I just turned vegetarian that year. And I do it terribly, terribly wrong. I told myself I would learn about vegetables and how to cook and everything, but I didn't really give myself the time, so I would be like going out with people and the only option that you have vegetarian in Japan would be a cheese pizza. And you know how many nutrition that has.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I also turned vegetarian this year, so I'm seeing a lot of similarities in my own life. Yeah.
So, of course, you can be a vegetarian, be super healthy, but in my case, I didn't do it right. So, I was doing animation, I was having a part-time job, I was not nurturing my body, I was living alone. It did take it off the amount that in the last 2 months especially, I don't know if it was the last month or last 2 months, I would become dizzy.
Oh, really?
Watching my own camera moves. I would have to lay down in bed and feel terrible because we were not on time. I mean, I would be with my team, like we were 4, like we were like 5, and then have the other 4 girls working at class, and I was lying down in a chair because I was dizzy, and I tried to get up and they were like, lay down. Because I couldn't. I would have puked or something. I couldn't. I had to. The only way to cure it was to sleep or eat or stop looking at screens. Like, how do you not look at screens when your thesis in 2 months from your first animation, the first thing, like, it was a big thing. That's really eye-opening.
Yeah.
That's really I was like, I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, and you don't know how many times like that might occur if because like people think that once you've graduated, like once you've done your thesis, then you get hired and then it's all easy from there, but no, it's probably the opposite. Like you get more of those deadlines, and so
the thing is you build habits. If you're used to work right before the deadline, if you used to say that sleep time is not as important as animating, these decisions they will continue like that. Right, that why should it change?
I mean, it wouldn't change, but I'm really, it's really exciting to hear that you identify as an entrepreneur, because that is totally what I feel that I am. You know, that seems to be my path that
you absolutely are. I've been hearing your post that you are 100%.
So I just I want to talk about that a little bit, because I just love talking about those kind of things, like going your own way and choosing your own path and stuff. So what have you thought of when it comes to like not being reliant on one of these big studios to pay your wage?
Okay, something I heard once in a podcast, Sean West, to quote them, is that there's no such thing as stable, right? Like, each company has a boss that are taking decisions together with the team or not, and that can go wrong. So you better be that boss maybe if you have the guts, because something will change and maybe you will not even have control over it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, that's one part of my mindset.
With the stability thing, like I remember from seeing one of your interviews with an animator that like she was a very, very experienced animator, had worked on a lot of big name shows and stuff, and then she talks about having a month where she hardly had any work and she had to go back to being like an in-betweener or something. And you know, like that, if anything, is proof that there is no real stability. Even the people in the most stable, what you might think of as being really stable, they can get fired, you know. And in animation as well, if it's like a movie, what do you think is going to happen once the movie is finished? Like they just keep around hundreds of people. They can't.
Yeah, what if computers come and now it changes and you have to go digital?
Yeah,
these things happen.
Yeah,
it's what you were mentioning also in your podcast about COPA. Like, rules will change.
Yeah,
rules will change and you'll have to adapt to that. There's no such thing, and it's not to scare anyone, it's just to, hey, be awake.
Yeah.
Be awake, because you're an entrepreneur or not, there's nothing wrong about being in another's company and doing your job in another team. Of course, like if we ourselves are entrepreneurs, we value teamwork. You don't have to be the boss, but do not fall in the trap of thinking that working for someone else is stable. Because the industry changes, the demand changes, your needs change, you need to keep updating yourself, your skills.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, let's see if there are any other questions.
Sorry, you were asking me something about entrepreneurship, and then I got triggered by the stable word. I don't know, like you were asking something else, I'm sure.
No,
I'm so sorry.
No, it wasn't really a question. It was like, you want to be an entrepreneur? Let's talk about entrepreneur stuff, you know, because some people I think still see it as being like the studio option is the only option. But like you've got a YouTube channel now that has like, you know, and you started to bring out videos, and I'm sure after this podcast a lot of people people who listen to this will want to see that stuff. And so I don't know how many people will, but it's
up to them.
It's up to them. Yeah, I recommend it personally. I think they're
Thank you very much.
They're really good videos. It's a really good resource, I think, for people. And that's actually how I found you, is someone on our Discord group just shared one of your videos in the Discord, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, like really cool interview, let's just see more on the channel. And then there were loads there, and I was like, oh, this is great. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Anyway, that I got off topic there, but
whatever you feel, let's talk about what you feel. What do you want to know? If you want to know, they will want to know.
Well, I think a question that people inevitably they ask me in every video I've ever made is about software. So I guess I'll just ask you that just to get it out the way.
Okay, so what is your magic pencil?
Like, what softwares do you learn in school? Like, what softwares have you learned is like the industry softwares that everyone's expected to learn in Japan?
Okay, this will be bad news. So let's start with this expectation set.
Okay.
The software they used at school is there's some software they use at school that they still use in the animation industry, and the teachers were so worried that there's no new versions. So we're not going well. So don't learn the thing I'm telling you now that they're using.
Okay. All right.
So let's start with this. I don't know if you've heard about, I don't even know if I can pronounce it well, like Retas, R-E-T-A-S.
Retas, yeah.
So they have like this Paintman, Traceman, and so on.
Yeah.
We were using those, and as far as I know, or as far as they told me at that moment, they don't have new versions, and they look terrible. It's like painting in Clip Studio Paint, painting in Microsoft Paint from 10 years ago. Like, you know, like this gray pixelated square buttons and you have to click, like there's no shortcuts in your keyboard. There is no shortcuts in your keyboard. Animation, fast, efficiency, please. Okay, so I stopped my explosion of feelings. So there's this software. There was also another one of Quick Checker. Okay, let's go through the process. So maybe it will be easier to understand the way. So first you make your animation drawing in a paper. Right? From there you have a tab, like the whole thing where you put the animation in. So you can actually... so I don't know how to explain this in English, to be honest. So anyway, you put the papers below a camera, right?
Yeah.
In that setting, you take pictures and animate it with a software that's called Quick Checker. I tried to Google it to give you like the maker and everything. I couldn't even find it. So we're starting well.
That's good. Just the name is probably enough.
Okay. Yeah, but you cannot even Google. Anyway, so this Quick Checker thing, you get this like black and white quick. Well, it's very literal. You check quickly if your animation works. Right. So you scan, like take pictures of it, scan. Does it work? Does it not work? Okay. If it works and you're happy with it, then you scan it with a normal scanner and use Traceman from Redas to clean up the drawing to like this pure black and white and then blue red wherever if you have shadowing lines.
Yeah.
Then you will use Paintman also for Redas to paint it. That's actually I really like that software. It actually gets very quick when you get the hang of it. I don't know if it's the quickest ever but it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
And fast, and it helps, and it's really built for animation. You can like see all the animation window next to it and everything, so it helps. And then from there, that's when you put it into Adobe for the first time. Adobe, it's a something that actually,
Adobe.
Yeah. You go to Adobe After Effects and you put the animation there and you compose the actual thing. You make it move. You make the effects wherever you want, and when you have all that, you put it to Premiere.
Yes.
Also from Adobe Premiere Pro, and you put the audio, you put all the things there, and it gets fancy, and you export it. Voila! However, let's say that in my school, my year was the last year that we work more traditionally. They wanted to teach more efficiently, digitally, and they're introducing Clip Studio Paint. That, as you know, it has Japanese and also English versions. I work with that, and actually it was. I have the feeling this is my fault. I could be wrong and be very proud now and sound very cocky, but I think it's my fault. When I was doing my animation thesis, what I did, and it will sound like a nightmare, and it was, is that I would do the animation in Clip Studio Paint so I could see easily, like my drafts, that the animation works. I would print that. I would ask my team and to myself, the in-betweens, we would scan that and then follow the process I just told you. How stupid does that sound? So the thing is, well, the class liked my my thesis, how it worked. They learned from me.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And then from the next year, they were planning alright to make the students get their own Macs and so on. And they said, okay, let's go Clip Studio because it has Japanese and everything. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
So I don't know, but so for the ones who want it, Clip Studio Paint, I really like it. I think you can get to a very high level, like at least get the see if it works or it doesn't. It's very built for having like what it would have been built for animation. Then you can even do the background there. It's very cheap compared to Adobe. You just pay it once.
That's what I was thinking. It's quite an affordable one, so I think people will be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Yes, and you can use it in various computers and things like that. So if you have like even a small team, you can just use it.
Yeah.
Between the 2 or 3 of you, or like show it, like you wanna show it to someone else, like okay, you can download it with my code for this time, and then see if it works. And then in the end, you just could use like Adobe just for After Effects or something. So
That's great. Yeah, I think people will be very happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Is like from my backstory. From my backstory, I do have a happy ending, and it's so far I'm happy with Clip Studio Paint. I haven't tried the one you're working on with. Like it also looks quite nice from your videos, but
Oh right, that's TV Paint probably.
TV Paint.
Yeah. I recommend TV Paint. I think you'd probably like it as well once you get the hang of it. I think it's a really nice software.
I may have to. We'll see. Thank you.
So what does your daily routine look like on an average day?
I can do both though. I could explain you what did the average day look like when I was studying animation. That could be interesting for people.
Yeah.
And then explain what I'm doing right now.
That would be perfect. Yeah, that would be excellent.
So let's say when I was at the second year of animation, what I would do is I was living alone at the time. Quite far from Tokyo, like Harajuku, where the school was.
Okay.
So what I would do is, wake up, animate. That directly. Just wake up. But some days I would convince myself to get out and run. But most of the case I would wake up and start directly to the thing. I would be like maybe 2 hours or more of it. And then depending on the day, school. I was at school and I had school and I also had like part-time jobs. So depending on the day, one was in the morning, the other in the afternoon. Basically, go to school and there would be various classes. That's the thing that you would not suggest, but you say you are doing. It's like kids don't do that. If I was doing a class of background, I would try to do it as fast as possible, as good as possible. Try that the assignment also fit my Return the Favor animation.
Yeah.
So to take as much, like I would just start the day with Return the Favor and continue doing it. In the train, I would like listen to podcasts or message people, contact family, like be social at that moment. Go to school, try to do more Return the Favor, then have the hours that would actually be for that. Talk with my team, see how they advance or not. We had some struggles with that. Like I had to learn a lot in management. I learned a lot in that experience. So struggling, managing, let's say, and then eat something quickly. Most likely I would buy anything I would find in a convenience store. Let's be honest. Bring it to the office, work there. Just the minimum hours I'm required to, like be efficient, like show results, like show that you're committed, you have integrity, you do what they ask you to do.
Yeah.
Go home and I continue sometimes like binge watching anime, binge eating sort of thing. I would be very tired at the moment.
Yeah.
I would talk with people, like chat while drawing or watching something. And basically, go to sleep, but in between that, anything like would be like do groceries, few cooking, as I said. I'm not very proud of that, but I was not nurturing myself very well.
All right, yeah.
I'll say that. I'm not happy about that. That's something that when I said that I've been dealing with personal issues this year, it was like I was addressing my health habits.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, I've learned how to cook finally. I'm fitter than ever, and these things that doesn't sound related, but I believe it will be a foundation for better art and a better self. But yeah, that was my routine. Yeah. Weekends would be the same. Really work for the animation. Try to do also. At that point, I stopped the comic, but I would still try to be a bit on Instagram, things like that. Like I will always have like marketing in my head. I would film the vlogs. Normally, I would edit them at night.
Yeah.
Try to like get like, okay, today I can bring the big camera. Today I have to bring the suitcase. Like I would bring like a little suitcase to even through snow.
Yeah, I think I saw that with the video of you
like that was
loads
terrible.
of snow and taking the
I was
suitcase.
Like, why? Why do I love animation? Why?
That's hustle. That's difficult. Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Please, like it's like this thing that you say kids don't do that. Please, please help yourself.
That's dedication. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one quick question. You don't have to answer in like very much, because this has been running on for a while, and you need to rest after this, I'm sure. But yeah, like what do you see for the future, your own personal future? Where do you think you'll be going, like maybe 5 years from now? What do you think you'll be doing?
Okay, so that's a nice one, but I will not answer to the 5 years. As I said, I'm an entrepreneur, so that means that I will follow the demand. So I don't know what I will be doing exactly. What I know is that I will be following my values. So I will be creating something that's aligned with my values, be it comic, be it animation, most likely animation.
Yeah.
And at some point we'll see movies. I don't know where I will be living. I don't know in which language. I don't know if I'll be doing them alone.
I hope you don't have to learn another one.
Yeah,
if you have to learn another one, I think your head might explode.
Oh my gosh. Talk to me in a few months. I'll let you know something. But anyway, yeah, so I don't have a 5 years thing. I do have an idea. Like, as you know, I'm doing this campaign for my comic that, depending if there's enough readers that want to back up the story of the comic, then I will be able to spend some more time for it during the next year. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll shift directly to animation. And my current business idea is that first I need to remember how to animate, because I haven't been animating in a year, so I should do like a sort of portfolio test. I mean, most likely it should be fine. Should be, but I want to be confident before selling my skills that I can do it again.
Yeah, you just got to shake the rust off, I guess.
Yeah, so I'll most likely do some portfolio piece, and then I'll try to go freelance, like short stories made for music videos, like collaborate with musicians, with like singles and so on, and try to make like a story for them in animated format. That would be something I'd really enjoy, because I really can, like, we can be picky with people that align. I don't know how it sounds, like you have more experience than myself in this case, but I'm just looking forward to find people align with a mindset and try to offer to them, okay, this is a story that would work, it has this message, we can create it this style, and then go for it.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Like that. Yeah, that is the kind of stuff I've been doing. Yeah, like, I like your answer of not knowing the specifics, but having those principles to guide you, because really, I think that's sensible, because a lot of it is outside of our control, in a good way and in a bad way. Like, we can't control if someone comes to us with an offer, like, we couldn't have seen that coming, or if the industry changes in some way, it's impossible for us to see into the future and know that. But if we've got the values, we've got certain principles that we want to stick by, and we've got certain ways, certain methods of getting things done, then we don't need to worry about the future as much, because we know that we've got some strong things that will see us through those ups and downs, and wherever it takes us, really. Correct.
It would come also from the people around us that would support us, the people, the networking we do.
Yeah.
For example, so I really don't know. I could tell you, like, as I told you, like, this is my first idea of my first business plan that looks likely, but I've had so many others. So yeah, I want to do what I say I will do. So in these times I will not rush too far.
I love it. That's great. All right. Well, are you happy with that? Do you have anything more to add, or are you happy to wrap up there?
I do have. There was one question you haven't made, and I really want to make the point.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I know many people is thinking about that. If you are, like, that's like my advice. That's something I've been struggling lately. If you are in a day job, possibly not related to the art, the animation you want to be doing. If you're in a day job, let's say 40 hours in a week, and then you say, like, I'm doing, okay, the rest of the time it's for animate what I want. There's a problem there, which is that you cannot just go with, say, like, okay, this, like, this many hours in a week, and some of them are like in black. They don't exist. They're your day job. They don't matter, right? Like you have to do it to get the money or whatever. Like maybe you like it, but it's like not your main thing. And then you think, with the other hours, I'll do whatever I can. That day job did take your energy.
Yeah.
Your physical energy and possibly, most likely, emotional, because it's not your thing, right?
Yeah.
So don't forget that and do add rest to the rest of the time, even if that means doing less animation. Even if that means, having to take holidays, and you wanted to think, okay, I have these holidays coming, I'll do so much animation. Yes, but also plan some rest so you have energy to keep going, because those physical hours exist. That's how I burned out, trying to do that, trying to plan an international marriage, trying to get healthier and rest at the same time, like trying to do comic and stuff, So,
yeah, it's a lot of different things going.
Yeah, I achieved a lot this year, but I also burned out. So I don't want others to have this situation. Everyone has their own choice, knows their own life, knows their own limitations, and how much they want to risk. But I would say don't forget that the daytime job, it takes energy. It will, and you have to acknowledge that and act upon that if you really want to do animation, because as you said yourself, if you burn out, if you end up hating animation because you cannot do it, or if you think that you're not moving forward, you get depressed, whatever, you get sick, that's good for no one. That's good for absolutely no one. So I just wanted to make like this point, like very hard, like focus on something. Okay, one animation show, at least you see that you're moving forward, because you just focus on one thing, so you'll have to move forward eventually.
Yeah.
And keep it doing constantly, but giving yourself rests, knowing that you're human, and that's fine.
Yeah,
it's really fine.
I think the way I see it in my timetable, a tired hour has less value. Like there's less you can do in a tired hour of work compared to a well rested hour of work. Even that, if that means like half of the hour, let's say you've got a tired hour, and then where you just start working at the start of the hour, and then you've got another hour where you decide, you know what, I'm gonna rest for half of that hour, and then I'll work for the second half of the hour. That one might even be better, because there are certain things you just can't do when you're tired. Like in-betweens, I think you can draw when you're tired. You can draw your in-betweens when you're tired, when you're stressed. You can still draw them, and they'll turn out fine. But then other things like writing a script, writing a story, those kind of things, you have to be in the right state of mind. You have to be well rested to do them. Otherwise, you just won't get anywhere with it.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
Same. Like here, I would say that, okay, like this week I've been doing so many panels for the comic, and this weekend I want to do more, but I'm tired. I would actually do, as you say, like painting, like flat colors, painting something I already drafted. I just have to look at the storyboard, and meanwhile I would like have another screen looking at anime or whatever. So I will be really, really slow, but I'll still be productive and have rest, because rest is not just sleeping. Let's be honest. Like there's many ways we can recharge ourselves. We have to recharge.
Recharging with like inspiration and things as well. And that's
exercise,
where like watching
whatever.
your favorite series comes in, I guess.
Exactly. Getting inspired.
All right. Well, I think we might. I think we can call it that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Sorry, this was longer than I thought.
Thank you so much again for taking the time to give us all of these amazing insights.
No, thank you. Like, I didn't even realize I had so much information. I really hope it will help people take like more better decisions knowing all this. Again, this is my opinion, my perspective, but it could help.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, and they can always reach me. I don't know everything, but feel free to reach me out. You'll find me in social media or something.
Check out her YouTube channel. It's great. Mar
Thank you.
Exposito. You can either search it in, or I'll definitely link it in the description of this, so you can just click through to it, subscribe, and follow her progress, and badger her with any questions.
Yeah, just come annoy me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you if you're. I'll most likely tell you if you're too annoying, but I doubt it. Just come to me. I'm fine.
Most of
It's
them are
fine.
really, really
I don't
nice.
bite.
People
I'm
who watch
online.
my videos, I think.
Oh, they're lovely. I went to your Discord and I haven't interacted yet, but I mean, like stalking a bit. I like these people. They're so nice and it's helpful. Get to Howard's Discord. It's nice.
Yeah,
Many
join in.
resources. Get in. I will say something someday too. Have a nice day. Bye everyone.